Today on the channel, I'm going to show you 6 of my favorite Eddie Van Halen tricks. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you 6 of my favorite things that Eddie Van Halen did in his playing that are kind of like tricks, little tips I'm going to give you that will help you incorporate some of these things into your own playing, but also give you some insight into what made Eddie sound like Eddie. Now, of course, Eddie had a lifetime of experience playing many different types of music, and he was inspired by a lot of things. So you can't just summarize Eddie's technique and style in 6 techniques or tricks, but I'm going to show you the six of my favorite things that Eddie did that I think were like really cool, and I put in my own playing. I kind of rip them off. I can't help it. I think we all do, right? So anyway, let's take a look at it. I'm tuned to E flat with this guitar. This is my EVH Relic series. This is the Frankie Relic series. I love this guitar. Some of these guitars get a lot of hate online. I get it, I guess, but I kind of don't get it. This guitar is wonderful, and I've got it customized to be my perfect shredder. It sounds wonderful, and let me tell you, if you want a guitar that sounds killer, that replicates the true Van Halen sound and doesn't look like Eddie's guitar, you know, it looks kind of like your own, and it's a good mod platform. These Relic series are fantastic. If you can get them on sale, I think on sale they're like $1,400 or something. Not bad. Anyway, let's take a look at it. The first thing I'm going to show you is what I call a tapping on the string bend. Okay, so one way to demonstrate this to you is basically to show you what I'm going to do, and then I'll break it down. So Eddie did that a lot, or you'll hear him go like. So pretty much everything Eddie did was based around the blues. He was very Clapton influenced, and Page, and I think, you know, even Billy Gibbons to that extent. But what Eddie did a lot of the times was he would take a power chord like an A, just down here, and then he'd take the third of that chord, the minor third, which would be this C, and he would bend it to a major third. That's like a blues thing. All right, very deeply rooted in the blues. But what he'd do is he'd bend, he'd kind of wind into it, which is a little bend and a release, and then a bend up like that. And then if you take this note and then you tap on the 10th fret, since the note is already bent up, it's going to sound like you're hitting the 12th fret. So you're going to go, you got to bend it up a little bit more to get that pitch, but that 12th fret is an A. So it's basically, he's like going. You can put a little vibrato with this hand. The left hand stays on the bend. I'm putting vibrato on my left hand there. Another way to do that would be to go. You can do the C on the 5th fret on the G string and hit the 12th fret. Or you can go on the 7th fret You can also put like your pointer finger on the 5th fret on the G string and your ring finger on the 7th fret and go like, and that you can do like a little tapping thing. And then go down to the next string. So I love that string bend and tapping. You can put it, in a lot of different places. It's very important to keep this hand steady with the bend and put that vibrato on there. You can move it around. I'm hitting it with my pick, but Eddie would do it with his finger. I think Joe Satriani does it a lot with his pick. I find that the pick is really accurate, and it has more of a percussive sound, but finger is, the way Eddie did it. All right, so there's some little examples of what I'm talking about. I call that the string bend and tap technique. All right, so another thing that you can do with this string bend is you can tap harmonics with it also. It's very similar to that technique. So my second favorite thing that he does is the harmonic thing like this. So one thing you got to understand about guitar, you can hit harmonics pretty much anywhere on the fretboard, but they're really easy on the 5th, 7th, 9th, and 12th. For example, so 9 times out of 10, if you hear a harmonic in a Van Halen song, he's going to be hitting them on the 5th, 7th, or 12th, usually. Sometimes on the 3rd. He does a lot of 3rd fret harmonics too. Sometimes 4th. So getting really proficient in your harmonics and hitting these harmonics everywhere will help you in this trick I'm about to show you. So to hit a harmonic, you basically just have to, you got to hit the string kind of hard with your pick, and you hit right over the fret wire. But you'll let go of it immediately. Five, 7, and 12 are your easiest. They sound really high and screaming on the 3rd fret. Kind of hard to hit. You got to have a lot of gain, and you got to hit it just right. But what Eddie would do is he would take a note. For instance, he'd be up here on the 7th fret, and then he'd tap 5, 7, and 9 frets above it. And sometimes, he'd be like 4 frets above. So 5 frets above this G string on the 7th fret is the 12th fret. So I'm just taking my pointer finger and I'm tapping over that fret wire. It helps if you pick the note first. Then you can go 7 frets above this note and 9 and then 4. He does that in Mean Street. So Eddie just kind of haphazardly did these. Okay? In Dreams, you hear him go. So it's kind of like that thing I just showed you where you go. So if you take this, if you bend this note up on the 7th fret on the G string, and then you tap the 7 and 5 fret above this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and also 9, you can go. And I'm letting this finger down, this bend. I'm going. So. You can also go. He does stuff like that in the Live Without a Net solo. I really don't think that the true Van Halen tone involves a lot of gain. The later years of Van Halen, you know, Foreign Lawful Carnal Knowledge and onward, Eddie had a lot of gain when he went with the 5150 amps. Great sound, but not my favorite Van Halen sound. I think the 1984 and Live Without a Net and 5150 era sound live sound was my favorite. It's almost clean. It's got that grittiness to it for sure, but you can just really hear the amps pushing air. You got to dig in and really fight for it a little bit harder, but it's worth it. All right, cool. The third thing I'm going to show you are linear runs. What I mean by linear runs is you play the same pattern on each string up the fretboard like this. So if I'm going to be, let me give you an example. All right, he does something like this in the jump solo, but I'm going to show you the pattern. So if you take your, if you look at it this way, if there's 4 frets right here, okay, 4 frets right in a row. Each finger belongs to a fret. So you're going to have your pointer finger, your middle finger, and your pinky. So it's going to be, we're going to go 12, 13, 15 on the low E. Then we're going to go 12, 13, 15 on the A, and do that all the way up the fretboard. And then we're going to go legato. What I mean by that is we're going to hit the one note, and then we're going to hammer on the rest, just like that. So basically what I'm doing is just the same thing. And sometimes Eddie would go up 2 strings or 3 strings, and then go back down a string and up 3 strings and down like, and go down. He didn't go down a lot, but you can. But Eddie liked those ascending runs when he did linear stuff. And by playing legato, you don't have to be like, you don't have to alternate pick everything like. I mean, that's cool if you want to sound like Petrucci, which there's nothing wrong with that, but Eddie was very legato in his speed playing. You can move this all around, and in different keys, that run will work. Eddie discovered that, you know, in certain keys, things sounded, that run would work in certain keys. So if he was in jump, or in C for jump, he would know that, you know, you could play that run at the end of the jump solo, or if he was in A, he might move it somewhere else, right? So essentially what Eddie was doing was playing, you could call them the wrong notes in solos. He wasn't playing a specific scale or key. He was playing a linear phrase that was fast, and he would go through certain notes that normally would not be in the key of that song, but it was like a mode. Basically what he was doing was playing in modes without really realizing what mode it was or what notes he was doing. He just had excellent, he had great ears and great musicality. I mean, he was the king, right? So that's what made Eddie's sound so unique and so different, was he played stuff outside the box, just because he was trying to invent ways to play faster and easier, but he also thought they sounded cool. So it was kind of a mixture. He really didn't play by any rules. He just played by what sounded cool. You can do other types of linear runs. You can also do, you could do like 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, like this. and go straight up the fretboard. You can start it anywhere. For instance, so what I'm doing there is basically just skipping a fret between each string or each note. You can do that. You can go 1, 4, 5 or 1, 3, 4. That's great for getting your pinky and your ring finger to work together. A lot of times, you know, it's hard to get that pinky and ring finger to work together. You want to get really proficient at doing legato stuff. You know, try to do a descending one. One thing I'm not telling you that I'm doing is I'm palm muting. I'm letting up when I hit the note. I'm palm muting. It's cool because you can do stuff like when he does, I think it's Spanish Fly. He's just going the 1, 2, 4. You can go ascending. So basically, I'm only picking twice. I'm going, but I'm going. It's kind of fun. One of the hard ones to do is this one. So what I'm doing there is this particular run I'm on the 9th, 12th, and 15th. So there's 2 frets between each finger. That one's pretty wicked. Weird sounding, but that's another cool linear run. So linear runs is something that Eddie did, and you can mess around in different keys and work with linear runs in your music, and you'll find that there are certain runs that work well within the song, and those passing tones will give you a unique tonality to your music. All right, whammy bar dips. Let's talk about whammy bar dips. What I mean by that is you'll hear Eddie will be playing a lick, sort of like a Clapton thing, like, and then you'll see him grab his bar all of a sudden, and he lets go of it, and it just flops down, right? But he'll go. Sounds like it's, drunk, kind of. So basically what I'm doing there is, the standard Chuck Berry lick, Chuck Berry riff. I can't talk tonight. You don't have to do that lick. That's like in Panama. He kind of does it like that. So he'll bend a note, and he'll do like a couple dips. And I pulled off, I went. One thing that Eddie will do is he'll put like this sexy vibrato, like, but he'll do a dip also in there. And then, obviously, I'm getting to that one. So, whammy bar dips during your licks. I just went up to A pentatonic minor scale. If you want to practice it, you can go. I'm hammering on like that. One thing he would also do is he'd go like here on the B string, like on the 5th and 8th fret. Kind of hammer on. Okay, so whammy bar dips. I could sit there and do that all night. You probably like skip this video. All right, let's talk about whammy bar harmonics. One thing Eddie would do with his whammy bar is at the end of a lick, he'd do like a whammy bar dive like that. And earlier I talked about 7, 5, 7, and 12 harmonics. If you do a whammy bar dive on the G string, for instance, and then tap the 5th fret, or while it's in the middle of doing the whammy bar dive, you can get some cool stuff. Or even the 3rd fret. Those are really cool ones. So one thing Eddie does is he'll be like going like. One thing I do is I bend my notes down a lot, like instead of going. So when I bend down, when I say bend down, I'm pulling down on the string. I'll let go of it. Watch this. So it works great with the G string or the D. And then hit the harmonic on the 3rd, 5th, or 7th. Also, what you can just do is hit the G with a pick, and then hit the harmonic and hit the whammy bar. One thing that you can do is I take my fingers like this, and I'm muting the E and the B string with my ring finger, and I'm muting the D, A, and the E string with my thumb. So when I go with my picking hand, I'm only hitting that G. So watch in slow motion. It's something that I just do naturally, like I've just developed this skill. I went right into that. I put a bunch of those techniques there in one thing. All right, so what else have we got on my list? I'm looking at my list here. The last thing is going to be these triads. Eddie liked to do triads. He broke up his power chords. Like all Van Halen songs are written around a chord structure. You know, like for instance, "Running with the Devil" is C, D to E, and then a sus4, E, back to an E. But Eddie didn't really play, like, not all the time. He didn't play power chords like you'd hear in Black Sabbath. He liked thirds, which a third is the root and the third of the chord. So he'd take, like with his C chord, a lot of times he'd just play like the B and the G string. And then he'd play on the 7th fret, the B and the G string. So in "Running with the Devil," Eddie tuned his B string usually maybe 1 or 2 cents a little flat, so it sounded really juicy and really in tune. You can also hear him do sus4 chords a lot, and sus2 chords. Eddie let the bass cover a lot of the low notes in his playing, so he could stick to these melodic high thirds. He also played thirds in like the middle portion of the fretboard, like on the D and the G string. So a third on the B and the B and the G string are basically, they share the same fret. So it'd be like 5th, 7th, and a sus4 would be like, you go up 1 fret on the ring finger. Now on the D and the G string, it's going to be, on the D, it's going to be, for instance, the 5th and the 4th fret on the G string. So that's your third. And a sus4 would be, so you'd be 5th on both, 5th fret on both the D and the G, and then resolve. Eddie liked to do pedal tones, like I'm going to chug on an A. I'm going to go A sus4 to A. I'm going to go down to this G sus4. Back up to A. You can really hear Eddie's influence in a lot of heavy metal music and bands that came after Van Halen, because, you know, Eddie kind of started this. And now on the A and the D string, it's the same thing as the D and the G. You can go. So you can play like. For instance, like Feel Your Love is. Eddie put a lot of vibrato in his chords too, like that. With his tonality that he had with his amp, where it wasn't super heavily distorted, you could hear those tones, those thirds, and they would chime through really nice. So there are 6 of my favorite tips and tricks that Eddie Van Halen did in his playing. We had, you know, tapping and bending, the bending tap. We had the tapping harmonic. We had the linear runs. We had whammy bar dips. We had whammy bar harmonics. And the way that Eddie played with thirds and suspended chords. On the B and the E or the B and the G string, the D and the G string, and the A and the E, or the A and the D. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please consider subscribing, comment below, and as always, have a great day. Peace out.